In today's episode, we'll each share 2 truths and 1 lie.
I need help, and I'm coming out like, help me. I'm help.
But can you figure out which one's the fake?
No, he's not.
Get ready for unexpected stories, bold confessions, and a whole lot of laughs.
Michelle's top comes off.
Yeah.
Think you could spot the lie?
It was horrible.
Play along and see if you can outsmart us.
Which is the lie?
Let's get into it. This is 2 truths and 1 lie.
Hello, welcome to Three Voices Unfiltered. Hey, ladies.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
So, did you all have a great week, or anything we could share real quick?
No.
Yes, you did.
What?
You went to Texas.
Yes, I saw Usher.
Yeah, you went to an Usher concert.
I went to Usher concert. And I was clutching my pearls.
But
Yeah.
you look like you was having a good time.
I know I
Yes.
was, but I was clutching my pearls a little bit because I'm not used to all that.
It was scary.
No. He brought out like a stripper pole and some strippers.
Oh,
Drinks.
risque.
It was a little risque. I was like,
Okay. No.
I'm a grandma. I'm definitely getting older because before I'll be like, turn up. But now it's like, oh my God.
What are they doing?
So yeah, that was good. It was good. It was fun. I had a good time.
How about you, Therese?
Well, you know, my birthday was,
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I was telling Suzanne a fun thing that happened with my son. We were driving in the car to Virginia to see my mother, and he said, "Ma, open up your car," because he gave it to me the night before. "Ma, open up your car." I opened up my car, and it was $67 in there. And I said, "Why did you give me $2?"
Like, why did you just give me easy
That was so
$70?
funny.
Birthday.
But it was a pretty.
That was pretty sweet, though.
Yeah,
It was thoughtful.
Boy mom.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, I'm in the car. I was cracking up because all I saw was $2 bills at first. That's all I saw. Why is it $2
That's
bills?
funny.
Oh my goodness! I know I'm retired, but I ain't broke.
Right. It's like penny pinching almost.
Yeah, but anyway,
That's pretty cool, though.
That's fun.
pretty much
Yeah.
it. Went to visit my mother. She's getting older, but we had a good time.
Yeah,
we stayed.
good.
Matter of fact, we stayed a day longer than I normally would stay.
That's what I did
Nice.
this week. I spent the week with Kevin and his family, Maya and Adele, and it was fun.
You're
Just
sweet-
hung
sweet
out and
little
nothing, no
baby.
stress. It was nothing major, just kind of hanging out. So it was fun. But
Okay.
today we're going to have an episode that is going to be I think it'll be fun. It's going to be a game.
Okay.
You guys ready?
Are we
I'm
ready?
ready.
We're going to play 2 truths and 1 lie. So each of us is going to say 3 things, 2 are facts, and 1's a lie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So you
right.
have your truths and the 1
I
lie?
do, and I just want to preface this this topic
Oh,
with
gosh.
we've known each other forever, and
It was
I
hard.
was hard trying to come up with something.
It was that you guys wouldn't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It was hard.
Oh well, we're gonna take a stab
I
at
have
it.
to go
Okay?
way back.
We're gonna take a stab at it. Okay, so the first one I have is that when my son was born, I saw him coming out of my body, and he had not one strand of hair on his head, not one, bald headed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The next one is I almost died twice in my life, and the next one is that my son visited Michael Jackson's house in Neverland House. So, ladies,
Oh, wow. Those are good ones.
ladies, and I have an explanation.
I
for
think
all.
I know which
I
one
think
is
I
the
know
lie.
which
Which
the
one?
lie.
Which one is the lie?
I'm going to say the first
The
one.
first one.
The first one is the lie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because
he
I
had
think
hair.
he has been to.
No, the first one is.
He had hair. He didn't have hair.
Yeah, the first
That's
one
the
is
first one.
that I saw him coming out of my body.
I don't
and
think
he had
that's
Because you can't see him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
don't-
have a mirror up
Yeah,
there.
I don't think that's true.
Okay. And you think it's true that I died twice?
You almost died twice.
Yeah, I almost died twice.
I think
think
it's
it's
true.
And you think it's true that my son visited Michael Jackson's house?
Yes.
They got him all right, y'all.
Ah!
Okay, so let me tell you the backstory real quick. Okay, so for the lie, I did not see my son being born. This was, I'll let you know, this was in 1977. All right, I started having labor pains, and about 5 o'clock in the morning, I had just bought the paperback of the book Roots. Okay, and I was an avid reader back in the day, and so I was just up reading the book. Right, I just got it, and all of a sudden I was ready to go to sleep, and I got that first pain, right? And I just looked at it 7 minutes apart, right? So we went to the hospital 7 minutes apart. Doctor came about 7 o'clock that morning. No, about 8 o'clock that morning. 7 minutes apart. Well, I was there all day long, y'all, having pains, whatever, right? They thought they may have to do a C-section, right? Because I wasn't dilated enough. Well, my water had never broke. Well, then what happened was my water never broke. And so when my doctor came after his, he left his office because he went to work, so when he came back, they broke my water. And that first pain after that, my gosh, it was horrible. It was horrible. And so what they did in 1977, they put me to sleep. I did not see my son being born, and I did not see my son until the next day.
Wow.
He was born at 8:02.
The next day.
It was on a Tuesday, I believe. He was born at 8:02. And I did not see my son until the next day because they had me out. Ain't it crazy?
But he was born naturally?
Yeah. It was
What?
born, he was born naturally. I didn't have to have a C-section.
How were you out?
Girl, who knows? I was out. Did not say okay.
What?
They don't do that crazy. Look, they don't do that crazy. But girl, they
They
didn't
did the
have
vacuum. They
But
had
wait
to
a
do the
minute.
vacuum.
I didn't even have to have a car seat for him back in
Oh,
1977.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
he's
true.
y'all. Anyway.
No, he's not.
Okay. Anyway, and the second one, so let me explain the second one about I almost died twice. That is true. Okay. So back in I would say like the mid 80s, I used to go to Atlantic City because Atlantic City, New Jersey, they had the casinos. And so we used to go to the beach. And so I remember it was a bunch of us, family and friends. We all went on the bus ride and we went to the beach. And I'm in the ocean and I lost my balance. It was, jumping the waves, whatever, and lost my balance. And I'm talking about, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was very, very scary. So that was the first time that I almost died twice. I mean, it was bad.
So you went under?
I went under.
Could you swim?
No, not really. No, I'm thinking I could, I'm thinking that I could, ride it out or whatever, but that was scary.
Yeah.
And the second time was back in 1994, and I had a pulmonary embolism, it traveled to my lungs, and I remember I fainted. I was going to get x-rays and I fainted, and a pulmonary embolism, I mean, it's really
That's
life-threatening.
serious. That's
Yeah,
serious.
it did travel, and a blood clot did travel to my lungs.
Wow.
So, yeah. And the last one is that my son did visit Michael Jackson's house. My son's father's best friend got married at Michael Jackson's house. And my son was 17 at the time. He was a senior in high school.
Oh, wow.
And the reception.
So Michael was pretty popular.
That's really cool.
And this was in 1995. Okay, because Farad was he was in the 12th grade, and flew out to California. Went to the wedding, and the reception was at Michael Jackson's house.
That's
cool.
And they had to be bussed in. They had to sign documents,
like
NDAs, taking pictures and all that kind of stuff, and it was really cool. But what they did have was they had a photo booth there, and somewhere, probably in the garage, deep down in my garage, in some type of box somewhere, is a picture of him and his little brother. His little brother was little brother was maybe about 6 at the time, something like that. He was little, and they took a picture together.
That's nice.
But that was really cool. But that's
cool.
So did they get to see Michael?
No, they didn't get to see Michael.
He wasn't there. They just used his house.
That
is super cool.
Mine are very similar to yours, Teresa.
Really?
Yes.
What are yours?
No, you go next.
Okay. Mine are, I'm hoping that you guys don't know this. So, I had a boyfriend that was a movie actor. I have never ridden a horse. And I once auditioned to be in a soap opera.
Okay.
So, which one is the lie and which ones are the truths?
So one lie. Repeat it one more time.
All right.
Okay.
I had a boyfriend that was a movie actor. I have never ridden a horse. And I once auditioned to be in a soap opera.
I'm going to say the first one.
I'm going to say the second one. You never ridden a horse. Okay, let me think.
I
Wait a
think
minute,
the
you was
first one.
raised
I don't
in
think
Puerto
you
Rico. Let me
dated a
think.
movie star or an actor.
So we talking about the lie?
Yeah.
Which one's a lie?
Which one's a lie? The first one, I think.
I think the second one.
Okay, which is it, Suzanne? She's looking at.
I have ridden a horse.
Okay,
I knew
That is
that.
the lie.
Okay.
Okay.
I did date someone when I was in high school, and he was in a movie. He was a movie actor.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So, what's the lie? The third one?
The horse. I said I've never ridden a horse,
Oh, you've
and I
never
have
ridden a horse.
Oh,
Okay,
Yeah.
so Teresa was right.
Yeah. I had a boyfriend, and I don't know, almost 16 or 17, and I met him at the Fiestas Patronales in Loiza, which is like the saint festival of the
Okay.
town, and I met him there. And then he told me that he may have been in other movies after that. I don't know, but at that time he had been in the Miami Vice movie.
We need to Google him and see
Yeah.
where he
I need
is.
to-
Not
trying to
where
remember
he
his
is.
name.
You don't remember his name?
I have to think about it. And then I did audition when I lived in California.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. 'Cause you
I
did-
believe that one.
I believe
Yeah.
that one because you did live in
I
California.
didn't get it.
You were
I
trying
don't know
to act.
why, but I didn't get it.
Yeah, you did act.
I'd
Yeah,
have been perfect.
I remember you were trying to
Yeah,
act. Yeah,
yeah.
I remember you said that.
So that's easies.
Okay.
Okay,
So I
nice,
tricked
nice.
one of you.
You tricked me. I was like, you've ridden a horse. So you haven't ridden a horse.
I have ridden a horse.
Okay, I'll start now. Mine. I have 4 children, but when I had one of my children, I never got to see my child immediately. They shared a photo of my child for me to see
Wow.
the child. That's one.
So similar like you.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I saved 2 children from drowning. I was at the
wow.
beach,
Mhm.
and I saved 2 children from drowning.
Okay.
And I met Prince. Those are my 3. Which is the lie?
I don't know if I ever heard you saying you've met Prince before, but I wouldn't put it past you. Saving 2 children at the beach, 2 children on the beach drowning.
I'm gonna say that one, and I'm gonna tell you why.
I have a feeling I know why you think. So what's the lie? So Teresa says I never saved 2 children from drowning. What do you say, Suzanne?
Define met Prince. I guess you
I don't have to
can't-
go into
Like, did you see
specifics.
him at a concert, or did you actually one-on-one
met-
meet
I
Prince?
met-
How are you doing, my?
I met Prince.
I'm torn. I haven't heard that before, and that's a big thing to say. That's a big thing.
I know. I feel like I know that you mentioned that you've been to. What's the name of his song?
Paisley Park.
Paisley Park.
Yeah.
Paisley Park, but I think
Yeah, I
after
know
he
that.
passed away.
Yeah. I'm still gonna go with number 1.
With the children drowning. What was
That's
the first
number
one?
2. The first one is I saw one of my children.
I believe
with,
that.
with a Polaroid.
I think
not
that's true.
the actual child after I had him.
I think that's Amir. I think that's your last child.
So
No,
what?
no, hold on. Okay. I think that's true.
Okay.
I'm torn about Prince and saving 2 children from drowning. I'm gonna go with that one like you.
Okay.
I don't know.
So you're both wrong.
You never met Prince?
I never met Prince.
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
I never
it was.
met
Okay.
Prince.
But I wasn't
I
sure.
saw him in concert, never met him.
Okay.
Okay.
I did save 2 children from drowning.
Really?
I did.
How?
I was wading in the water, in the ocean, and these 3 little kids come in the water. Their mom is out there on the beach, and I'm 5'7". So as I walked, I'm walking, just enjoying a nice little walk, and they kept coming out, and and the 2 of the little girls were going under.
Oh, wow.
The waves started, because they were clearly shorter.
Yes.
The waves started
Going
coming
over
over their
them.
heads, and their brother yelled, "You stupids! I told you not to come out here with me." And he just kept swimming.
Oh my goodness.
And he left them. And they were swallowing water. So I calmly walked over to them. They grabbed me. I'm like, God, if it's between me or them, it's gonna be them. Because I'm gonna leave them. Because they were like,
oh, like you're gonna let them drown?
I say that because
I thought you meant like I'll sacrifice. It's gonna be, you know.
I know. I'm telling you what I was thinking at the time. Because they were grabbing on me, and I felt
No,
Real
it's
life.
true.
And
Yeah.
guess what? I'm on my tippy toes.
Yes.
So if I'm flat, the water is at my face.
Yes.
So I'm like, calm down, and I slowly walk them back to the shore.
And it happens when drown victims will drown you. And,
Yeah, they
and
could
you all
drown
die.
you. Exactly. And I'm like, no, if it's between, I'm like, I'll see myself like beating these kids off me. Thank God that didn't happen. And I
Right.
slowly walked them back,
That's
and they
funny.
ran to their mom. And I'm like, ma'am, what are you doing? Why are
Yes.
you watching your children?
Yes.
She was talking to some guy on the
Yeah.
beach.
That's terrible.
So that did happen. You're talking about scared.
I had a similar experience. It was I think it was Memorial Day weekend. We went to some beach in North Carolina. And we're like being cute. We're all
Bikinis.
Michelle wasn't single. Was Rachel single? I think she may have been, but anyhow, I was. So I'm like being cute in our bikinis and whatever. So I go in the water, and the girls are in the water, and I don't know what it was. We're like not far, maybe a couple yards, 2 or 3 yards. I don't even think that far from each other. But I got caught in the undertow, and I could not.
Yeah.
So the water was going over my head, and we're touching fingers. Like I'm like, I need help, and I'm coming out like help, I'm like, help, and they're laughing because they think I was, and I'm like, I'm serious, like I'm not faking it.
Right.
Then in the midst of it, Michelle's top comes off.
Oh, God.
So she's holding her top, trying to help me, but they're not really. Girls, you weren't really trying. They're just kind of like reaching out because they're standing, they're fine, and we're that close. So it
But you
didn't
got
seem
caught.
real. But I
Yeah.
got caught and I couldn't get out of it. Then I couldn't see Kevin because Kevin was on the shore. So I'm freaking out. Where's Kevin? I'm thinking I'm gonna die and my son's gonna be unattended or whatever. But anyhow, 2 lifeguards came out
They had to get you?
and had to get me.
that's
And once I
crazy.
saw them coming, I kind of like relaxed. I didn't want to be that person that was grabbing on them.
Yeah.
I kind of relaxed and let myself go. So one grabbed one arm, one grabbed the other. I was grateful, but I was very humiliated.
Yeah.
In your cute bikini.
That ocean is no.
I
that is
don't
no
respect
I don't
the
play
ocean.
in the ocean. I
You know.
walk in it. I don't
Yeah.
swim in it.
Yeah, I
It's just-
respect it. I
My
don't
swim skills are not that great.
not for ocean. And now even I don't go if it's below my waist. Like that's
And And I had walked
I'm
out,
not
and it was to
taking a
my
chance.
chest, and then next thing I know, it was like
Yes.
here, and those kids were going under
Yes.
and under.
And you never know when if there's a drop.
Yes.
That's
don't.
the
That-
one thing that always
That happened
bothered
to me in the Bahamas.
Yeah, you never know when
I was
it's
walking
a
out,
drop.
it was a drop. But
So-
to the other truth, you were right. I didn't get to see a mirror. They showed me a mirror from a photo.
that's
I had an emergency. It was like similar to your story. I had an emergency C-section. They knocked me out because his heart rate was dropping.
wow.
And when I woke, they were like, "Here's your baby," and it was a picture of him
Wow.
with tubes and everything. He was in NICU.
I remember
I didn't get to
that,
hold
yeah.
him.
Wow.
We stayed in the hospital for a week. He came out with a diagnosis of it's a brain injury. He had a brain injury. Basically, he stopped breathing. He had swallowed his stool and he breathed it into his lungs. The first stool, what is it called? Meconium. I think it's called meconium. And we were in the hospital. He was the largest baby, almost 8 pounds, in NICU, because he was having spells of not breathing.
Gotcha.
Well, I remember going to see him.
So they did not. They diagnosed him with cerebral palsy.
Wow.
So a very mild version of cerebral palsy. So remember I used to have to take him to therapy and. Yeah, now he plays basketball. He's fine. Yeah, he's fine.
That's awesome.
He doesn't have any issues. Growing up, he was a little conscious of how he walked. He kind of walked like with a limp because he had to wear a brace and all those things. But yeah, that happened.
And now he's a tall,
excellent basketball player.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's
he's a miracle too, huh?
He is. Yeah. And I was like, I'm done.
No more.
I'm done. Like, don't let me leave without some surgery. They were like, no, they wouldn't give it to me.
Oh, really?
Because they said they didn't know how he would, if he would come out. They really told me that. They didn't know if he would be fine. So they didn't do it.
So they wanted to leave the option open for another child or something? Oh.
Yeah, because he was in NICU. And, so he came out a week later. They let me go, and I had to come back to get it after like 3 months.
Wow.
When he kind of stabilized, which he did.
So he stayed for 3 months?
No, he stayed for a week.
Okay.
He stayed for a week.
On your surgery?
My surgeon came back and did the tubal ligation 3 months later. But I would have to go and see him in the NICU. I couldn't hold him until like days later. I have a picture if I can find it out.
How did that feel since we're talking?
It was scary.
It was
scary. But he pushed through, thank God.
He did great.
He did.
Yeah.
I know. I think about our moms who, lose their children, after having a full-term, pregnancy.
Absolutely. That's rough. Can you imagine? My grandmother lost 3 children.
Wow.
My mom is an only child. She was the first child, but she had 3 other children that she lost full term.
Right.
Wow.
Because they didn't have the medicine, they didn't have the access.
The care.
You're talking about they were born in the 50s.
Yeah. My grandma lost one. I think he was maybe a year and a half. And I want to say pneumonia, but I'm not sure. But back then, I mean, you couldn't take him to the hospitals, get IV antibiotics and things like that, which is probably what he needed. But he died.
My grandmother, I had an uncle that was a SIDS death. They just woke up and the baby was dead.
Wow. And my grandpa's first wife died at childbirth, and then the baby died.
That's happening now.
Yeah, the baby died. That baby died as well.
There's a lot. Infant mortality, childbirth, like having women are passing away.
Wow.
Because they don't have access to good care.
Yeah. Health insurance and having a relationship with a good physician or at least a nurse practitioner, is excellent. And do you guys? I know this is off topic. We apologize, but this is Three Voices Unfiltered. This is how we do it.
This is where we go.
Oh,
Exactly.
We go where it takes us.
Yeah. Did you hear about what they're doing is they have medical facilities. And I guess it's for like, they're being proactive, like as you get older, instead of, we go to the doctor when something happened, all right? Well, not me, because I go for my annual physical, so I don't be playing. But anyway, we normally go to the doctor, okay, we don't feel good, we go to the doctor, we want to see what's going on, and then we take it from there, right? Where they're opening facilities now, and I don't know how long this has been going on, and I don't have all the information, whereas it's almost it's part of wellness, instead of waiting until something happened, you know what I mean?
So like preventative care?
Yeah, like wellness and preventative care and stuff like that, And it's like, because I had like so much anxiety or stress or whatever you want to say when I was going to the doctor yesterday, you know what I mean? Just, because I wasn't, feeling whatever, because you don't never know what the doctor's going to say, and I'm older now, and so you never know what the doctor's going to say. And y'all, I'm going to tell y'all something. Getting old is just not no joke. And I know I'm jovial and I'm happy and I'm doing what I do and I'm running around here and everything like that, But I told my doctor, I told her yesterday, I said, I've been to the doctor more times this 1 year since January, okay, than I probably been in the last 10 years. Because I just go for my regular annual physical, I go for my mammogram, you go for those general, checkups. And then, okay, everything's good. Okay, bye, see you next year, whatever, right?
Now it's on Sundays I open my calendar app to see I literally go, what appointments do I have this week? Mm-hmm. Because between my mom and I, we stay at the doctor's office at least once a week. And then if I count, like I took John, we had our calendars linked. I unlinked it. Like I don't want to, because he has a lot of appointments as well. And it's too much.
It is.
So on a happy note, young people, just make sure, that you go and you do get yourself checked every year. And ladies, go to your OBGYN. That's very important. Yes. Go to your dentist, because mouth health is important as well. You don't realize that, till you get older too. Some people, till you get older. So it's like, just go to your appointment.
They say that plaque in your teeth
can cause heart disease.
Heart disease.
It's funny. I was out of town dancing. Where was I? I was in Minneapolis and I was dancing and I met this nice gentleman who asked me to dance, and we danced, and I sat down and I talked to him. He was a pastor from San Diego. Mm-hmm. He was 69 years old. Mm-hmm. Oh. And he was a nice looking guy, and he was dancing, and I'm like, you're the same age as my father. My father complains every day about something hurting him. I'm like, what did you do? He was like, he said, I drank a lot of water. Mm-hmm. I exercise.
Staying active is huge.
I'm exercising every day. Mm-hmm. I'm like, he said, those are the two things. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And it's really important, because I remember, being younger, and especially when I came to North Carolina back in '95, I was always belonged to somebody's gym. And we used to gym hop. We used to gym hop. Remember that,
you guys doing that.
We used to gym hop, going to somebody's gym, We knew the importance, but not really.
It was just
more
doing it external.
I know I need to exercise.
To me, it was more about looking good, looking fit. Yeah, now it's about health.
But let me tell you something. When I retired on June 30th, 2020, right? After that, I just went rogue. I didn't exercise nowhere. I ate what I wanted to eat, for 3 years. Seriously, okay? I'm just out there just having me a good time, you know what I mean? Doing this, that, and the other thing. And then come January of, this year, then it seemed like it's just one thing after the other, that's the other. But honey, it don't stop no show.
That's right.
Okay? Because I'm still going to do what I got to do. Right. I'm like, where we going, what we doing,
Sometimes we get distracted, but it's just bringing it right back around.
Yeah. And then, but what I do understand too that is came to my attention is getting some good rest. You know what I mean? Just because, I would take a day and I would say I am doing absolutely nothing, because I can run around. I'm not doing anything. I don't want to do anything. I'm not doing nothing in this house.
It's like listening to your body. Like
I'm not doing anything. And you just like rest,
I've done that.
And then the next day I get up and
I told John, I'm a huge advocate of listening to your body, because if it's acting different or feeling different, that means something. So my new thing lately, which I need to make an appointment, is I've been tired enough that I need to take a nap. I have to lay down and take a nap. Yeah. And it's been happening almost every day. And I don't have to lay down long, maybe 20 minutes, and I feel fine. But I don't know if
that's not your norm.
No, it's not mine. I don't know if I'm bored but I just feel genuinely exhausted.
Wow.
And I have to take a nap. So, and you know what? And I do. I felt bad about laying down and taking a nap, and now I'll curl up on the recliner and take a nap. And I feel bad about
it. It's like when I was having headaches. I'm like, this is not normal.
Yes.
Why am I having headaches?
Yes.
I'm not a person that have migraines. I made an appointment, and they were like, oh, it's okay, you're fine. But I kept going back, so they can tell me something that's happening to me. So, I think knowing your body. And more recently, I feel like kind of heartburn, or I'm like, okay, what's going on in my chest?
I know, and
You
that's
know?
why I made,
Relax.
and that's why I went to the doctor
Yeah.
because what I noticed, I started making a little journal, on my phone, and it just started, and I just started feeling, in this area,
Mm-hmm.
and since I had, a bunch of tests early this year, that had to do with, heart and all like that. I just went and did EKG and everything was was good or whatever, but she talked about stress, because everything else was good, but based on her exam it was acid reflux, and everybody who knows me, I don't like taking pills. I hate that, having to be take any type of drug regimen, but
Same.
anyway. But it's a 14-day, thing. But that's another thing, you guys. It's like, just like Suzanne said, you pay attention to your body, do what you have to do because nobody wants to be on these medications where you have to be on the medication. Unless it's an antibiotic, something like that, because,
But not forever.
I have two
But not
brothers
forever.
right now, 40 years old, in the hospital.
Oh, really?
High blood pressure, diabetes.
Wow, 40.
They just turned 40
Wow.
Tuesday.
Wow.
Not taking care of
But that's
themselves.
what, like, Americans actually, if you research shows that we just eat terrible.
We do.
So much processed food, so much fast food, and it's not good for our health.
I know, and that's
So-
truth. Okay, so let's
Yeah,
talk
that's-
about
that
truth.
needs- yeah,
that
we
is
need
not
to-
a lie. Those are truth.
Yeah, we need to be more aware of what we eat. I think eating is
A
one
big
of the
part of it.
biggest
Eating
parts
is
Yeah.
a big part.
of
Yeah,
what
and-
we eat
now
is
that-
really affecting our health.
Yeah, and me and my cousin talked about this. There's some things that's going on in the environment that we cannot control.
Right.
True.
But
Yeah.
try to control the things that you can. Okay,
Yes.
it's no joke, because I took it. I didn't take it seriously when they tell me, okay, exercise. Most days of the week. 20 to 30 minutes. Do some strength training. Another thing I do. Now that I'm older, is doing some balancing because they say that older people have a tendency to fall. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I know my mother has. She's 87, and I know that my mother has. She's fell quite a few times.
Wow. Yeah.
So my spirit just told me probably about 2 or 3 months ago. Start doing some balancing.
And strength-
Exercising.
yeah, strength training.
Yeah, to help with that. So it's not just talking about it. So I'll be okay, because when we're young, honey, let me tell you something. We start moving, shaking, doing what we got to
Right,
do,
but
and not really paying attention. But I'm here to tell you, because I'm in my 60s, is yes, pay attention.
Pay attention, be
And I
active.
believe that I stayed as healthy as I did all of those years because I was exercising, and pretty much trying to, watch what I eat.
Like I
stuff
feel
like
that I ate healthier then when we were working together. Somebody can put a piece of cake in front of me. No, it's like I don't want it.
yeah,
and
you
I would,
did eat very
now
healthy.
don't put a piece of cake in front of me because I'm gonna
Really?
eat it.
We would go
Isn't
to
that
lunch.
terrible?
Yeah, you would always watch what
And
you
I'm
ate.
older and unhealthier almost in
Yeah.
a way. But going back to your falls, falling is the big one when it comes to elderly. I know we're totally off topic.
Well, we're talking
But,
truth.
okay.
but we're
We're
talking,
talking truth.
this game kind of like led to these topics, but the doctor told my mom that, or told me about my mom that the disease, when people get older, it's not good for them to fall because whatever disease they may have will not be what ends it. I guess I can put it that way.
I understand.
But it may not necessarily be terminal, but falling can actually be terminal because she said you do not want her to fall. Like that's a big, it's, yeah. And I forget the percentage, but she gave me a percentage of the percentage of when people fall that don't make it, and it was pretty high. But yeah, so you don't want them falling because then guess what? They're sedentary. They're not moving,
And other issues.
other
Yeah.
issues develop. So
Yeah.
they didn't. She said falling is huge. You don't want balancing like
Yeah.
you're doing. That's a good.
And that's
that's a
what
good practice.
When you're older, your bones become, even
They're
more
brittle.
Yeah.
So you have the older people getting the knee surgeries and the hip surgeries,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
a lot of times maybe, back surgeries or whatever.
That's why I'm afraid
So-
to skate. I bought skates
I was
because Ralph likes to
get out of
skate.
my head. I was watching this video. Somebody posted it. I'm like, oh, I would like to
I
get
think
some
we should.
skates.
I think we should all go. We should go with the little kids where they have the little walker thing.
Let's go.
They have
Let's
a
go
place.
skating.
They have a place in Washington, I believe.
I was gonna say, is there still one in Greenville? Greenville had one. No.
No, it's
okay.
in They have one. in-
Chocowinity.
Yeah, Choco Winnie, not
Oh,
Washington.
like
Yeah.
roller skates.
Uh-huh, and they have the
Okay.
little kids in there
That'd be
in the
neat.
daytime, and they have the little.
The little
It reminds
walker.
me of the little walker,
Yeah,
and they're
it's a walker.
skating.
I've
And
seen
if we
people
go to get.
fall with that walker. Grown people fall with that walker.
I used to be able to skate when
Look,
I
get
was
some
a
wide
kid.
leg pants and put some knee pads on there. Nobody would know.
I
that
need to
you're
be like
there.
bubble wrapped before I
And put
go.
some. Look, and have a big sweatshirt.
We
on,
don't want
right?
to fall at our age.
No.
I do not want to
Yeah.
fall. But Ralph is an excellent skater.
It makes me think of John and I on our honeymoon went to Colorado and we went skiing. I snow skied before and I knew that I didn't like it and I knew that I was bad at it. Mostly because I'm so scared I can't get out of my head. So I'm convincing myself that you're gonna fall, so anyhow, I said, let's do it, let's take a class. We took a class,
Okay.
did the bunny slopes. I'm still terrible at it. And here's John, zhoo, zhoo. And the guy's like, you really need to go to that intermediate class and I can take you up. I mean, he made me mad.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like,
He
I'm
left
done.
you?
I grabbed my skis. I went in he didn't leave me, but he was.
He was excited.
I think
about-
he did leave me.
Oh.
But because he was good at it, I didn't want
Yeah.
to hold him back. But I'm just scared. I don't want to fall. I didn't want to break my legs or my knees or hip or whatever.
No.
Well, at least at least you tried.
I tried it.
Yeah.
I think that was my third time.
Okay.
But
No.
who won this game? I think I won.
Who won?
Well, you.
I got the most right.
You did? Yay!
Okay.
Maybe I
I
don't
got
know.
one wrong with you.
You both got mine wrong.
Oh, and you got both of ours right.
Yeah.
You won.
You
Wait,
won.
no, I got one. Yours wrong. I didn't know the horse was
The
wrong.
horse,
I picked something
okay.
else. So
Okay.
yeah.
Did you pick Prince or you pick the children drowning?
No, I picked the children.
Okay.
You picked the children.
But
I
I
almost
didn't
went
think
with
about
Prince,
the,
but I
about
thought,
the horse. I got right.
You
for
know,
you.
I would have told you about
I know. And I should have gone with my gut.
I work with someone who has met him.
He was such a genius. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I saw a really short documentary on him, but I've seen a lot of documentaries on
Yeah.
Prince.
I don't like a lot of them because a lot of them aren't true. I've watched a lot of them, and a lot of them are like, that's not true. That's not accurate. Some of it is accurate. Some of it is not. But
he seemed like he was fun. I don't care what nobody
he
said.
was fun.
He
He
just
roller
seemed like
skated.
he seemed
did
like
all
he
that
was
stuff.
fun.
But she met him on an elevator in LA. She got on the elevator, and his bodyguard pushed her. And he was like, that was rude.
Oh, really? I can't hear him say that.
And she said, he smiled at her, and she smiled back. He was like, she had a USA jacket on because she was a USA gymnast coach. She had a team. And he was like, go USA. She said she couldn't say anything.
I would be like,
He's giving her all these opportunities to talk.
to say
And
something
she's
back.
just like looking at him, just like
Starstruck.
starstruck. And he got out the elevator. And that was it.
And that was it. And then she's like,
I
man, I should
love
have
that story. I'm
That's
like,
a good
I never got a
story.
chance
That's a
to
good
meet him,
story.
but that's a good story.
Oh.
Oh wow. Okay.
So yeah,
Alright,
so
well,
awesome. Great.
This was a good conversation.
Great conversation.
It was
good
really
stuff.
hard, y'all, trying to find 3 things to share because we know each other so well.
I thought you rode horses. I don't. I can't get that
I
out of
would
my
love
mind.
to. I've ridden like a trail horse, really.
Okay. I've never ridden a horse.
But a horse,
I'm
I would
afraid
love
of
to learn
them.
how to ride a
Oh,
horse.
that's
I actually want to.
I've ridden horses.
I would like to have a horse.
I
John
don't
said
want
no.
they're expensive.
They're expensive.
They're
It's a lot of
expensive to
work.
maintain.
Maintain
a lot of work,
and
yeah.
they're huge animals.
They're so just. I don't know. It's like
They're
a giant
scary.
dog that lasts forever.
Listen, you got the land. You could go down
I
there.
know.
You can
driveway
ride
you got.
one and fall off that thing, and you know what happened with Christopher Reed. I don't want to
Oh
ever ride a horse.
yeah.
I mean, so, but
Well, this was a very fun episode.
it was.
Thanks for hanging with us, following our little rabbit trail. We
Yeah,
did
we
go
went down
down the
the rabbit
holes
hole.
that we went into. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
bye,
guys.
Oh, actually, let me back that up. And I am not going to edit this out. Let us know two truths and a lie
In the comments.
in the comments, and then we can try to go there and guess.
How about that?
We'll do
Even though we don't
hashtag.
know you people, but
We'll guess. We'll do hashtag 3VU truth and lie. There we go.
That's
All
it.
right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hit that like button, share, and subscribe.